Good morning. I'm Patrick Anquetil, founder and CEO of Portal Instruments. I would love to talk to you this morning about needle-free injections. If you are a patient on a biologic who's got a chronic disease, say like rheumatoid arthritis or even diabetes, you pretty much need to self-inject for the rest of your life. An injection is still a major pain point for patients, and I'm sure everyone in this room probably doesn't like needle and syringes at all. We've been started about 10 years ago. Our business model actually is not to sell to patients directly, but to do deals with pharmaceutical companies to enhance their medicines. So through creative partnerships, we're able to combine our device with their drug and create unusual drug-device combination products. Where we are now in our journey, we're preparing for a 510K clearance later this year, and we're looking for investors to carry us through our Series C from clearance to market launch. We've got an amazing team, really students of the field of drug delivery. Veena Rao, our Chief Business Officer, was at Lilly, in charge of putting on the market some very successful drug-device combination products like Trulicity, Taltz, and semaglutide. We've also got Bensi Alghazi, just to name a few, who basically worked with Amgen to do the device to deliver Repatha, the PCSK9 therapy. What's unusual about us is that we've also got a tremendous broad IP, and we've backed basically our technology with numerous studies, either alone or together with partners, like the few of them that you can see on the slide over there. So drug delivery still remains a challenge. Interestingly, from a pharmaceutical point of view, the drug is always the star. Who cares how the patients basically does their injections and how they get basically the drug into their bodies. As I mentioned, no one likes needle and syringes. It's really, in terms of patient experience, probably the most unpleasant thing that one can do. There are broader issues too at the drug development level, where some assets may show great potential preclinically, but are not tuned to the device to inject them, and as such get dropped very early on. So that too actually is a missed opportunity that we think we can address. And finally, as more and more therapies basically moved from small molecules into biologics, where for biologics, mostly at this time, you need to do an injection, there's this challenge that more and more waste is basically created by those needle and syringes. There's also a fourth area of interest, which is the area of biosimilars. I'm sure some of you have read this article from the New York Times a few weeks ago. There's this massive opportunity as hugely successful therapies like Humira, for example, transition from branded products into biosimilars, where if you're in that train, it's really bloody out there. This year's data that came from a report from Amgen that Amgen publishes every year, looking at the field of biosimilars. In solid lines, you have the branded products, and then in the dashed lines, you have the biosimilars. And you can eyeball it very quickly that after a year, the value of those medicines basically drop by half. And as more and more biosimilars basically go on the market, it's basically a race to the bottom. Today, there are about 9 approved biosimilars for Humira, another 5 that are going through clearances as we speak. By the next half of this year, we'll start basically that market unfold. We think we can actually bring a difference in the field by having a device that's differentiated and really allows you to perhaps shield your franchise from existing biosimilars, or if you're biosimilar, you can differentiate against all the other Me Too products entering the market. So how do we do this? Our technology works around a so-called jet injection technology. It's actually an old principle. You compress the drug, you create a very, very fine jet with the drug. The jet size is much smaller than a needle and syringe, and then the speed of the jet is extremely fast. It's about the speed of an airliner. And so the patient gets an injection that typically would take a few seconds. He or she gets this in a few fraction of a second, so extremely, extremely fast. The business model is to partner with pharma around 3 value propositions. Number one, straight differentiation. We're the only company that can do actually that type of injections. If you partner with us, we can do an exclusive deal. You'd be the only one on the market having access to that technology. We can also expand your market in that there are patients who will refuse a needle-based therapy the moment they hear it. In some geographies, like Japan, for example, that can be 50% of your patient population just doesn't want to deal with any needles at all. And finally, this device is also connected, so you can imagine how we could build in some form of recursive treatment management together with a device that's super, super easy to use and patient preferred. That too will keep people longer on treatment and allow to create more value for our friends within pharma. And so here, so graphically, you could see how we can take your typical biotech franchise, a few $1 billion, and sort of expand it basically from there. So this is the system. It's got 3 components. We've got a reusable device. I have it actually right here. Happy to run a demo actually off-site if you like. Then we've got the single-use disposable cartridge. Just looks like a syringe, but if you open it up, you'll see there's no needle actually at all. And then we've got the digital experience for the treatment, where basically we can interact with the patient and transfer the data to the care team as the patient basically wishes. So here you can see from a size perspective what it looks like. You can see also here how it works. There's a cartridge door that opens. You put the cartridge in, close the door, inject, and then the spent cartridge can be thrown in the trash. There's really no headaches into thinking about where to put the needle and syringe. You put it in the sharps disposal, you just toss it in the trash and so on. All this is basically taken care of. And we believe, interestingly, in particular for those biologics that require a device typically for an injection, the physics around it is that biologics typically are quite viscous. Viscosity also changes with temperature. Patients don't have enough force in their thumb to actually use a needle and syringe themselves. They need some form of device. Those devices are so-called auto-injectors. They're like EpiPens. Those, believe it or not, get tossed after every injection. It makes no sense to connect those. On the other hand, a reusable device, in particular, in our case, that's computer controlled, can be easily connected to the cloud and transfer information around the treatment and how well the patient is doing to the entire care team. And by the way, this can happen in real time, which we think, in terms of looking at a particular territory in the context of pharma sales could be actually quite transformative. So the first question we get, well, do actually patients want this? Yes or no? When we ask patients here, this was done with patients suffering from atopic dermatitis, 200 of them, about 80% say, oh yeah, no, this looks really interesting, would love to try it. More interestingly, 2/3 of those patients were actually willing to change medicine if a different medicine was available only in this device as well. So huge opportunity there too. The next question we get is, what does it feel like? Does it hurt? We're very data-driven. You can actually measure sensation. We are about half the sensation of a typical needle and syringe. So a needle and syringe would be 20 on a 0 to 100 scale. 100 worst possible pain, 0 no pain. 20 is typically where needle and syringe is at. We're about 10 on that 0 to 100 scale. And we've done multiple studies with patients on that. So again, our business model is to partner with pharma. We will do creative deals. Your basically typical biotech license with upfront payments, milestones, and royalties actually as well on the drug device combination sales. What's unusual again about us is that we're a medical device with actually pharma-like revenues, if you look at our revenue. We've done 2 deals to date. We're looking to do more. And as I mentioned, we're looking to actually clear the device specifically alone actually at the end of this year. Looking for investors to take us through our Series C. We've raised about $50 million worth of capital at this time, so the A and the B, about $40+ million in revenues through partnerships. We're looking for the next tranche to basically take us to the market. Thank you very much. My email address is on this slide. Feel free to email me, and I look forward to hearing from you. Bye-bye.